What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at a fight that took place May 5th, 2007. It took place in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was for the WBC Light Middleweight Championship. One man had the 1992 Olympic gold medal. The other one had the 1996 bronze medal of the Olympic Games. And it was pretty boy Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya. And this fight was very interesting because Oscar De La Hoya was trained by pretty boy Floyd Mayweather's dad, Mayweather Sr., since 2001. And the plan was for him to be in the corner of Oscar De La Hoya, in spite of his son facing Oscar De La Hoya. But it came with a very heavy price tag. You see, Floyd Mayweather Sr. offered his services to Oscar De La Hoya with a price tag of $2 million. And Oscar De La Hoya made a counter of $500,000 all through training camp, and an additional $500,000 if I were to win against your son, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, whatever that meant, but that was his counter offer. And Floyd Mayweather Sr. came back with another counter offer, and Oscar De La Hoya didn't like it. So he said, no, don't worry about it. You stay with your son. So he wound up hiring Eddie Futcher's protege, Freddie Roach. And that's who rode in the corner of Oscar De La Hoya against Floyd Mayweather Jr. on the night of May 5th, 2007. Now, Oscar Floyd Mayweather Sr., he wound up going back to the camp of his son, but he didn't have a major role, because the chief second was Roger Mayweather. And that's how it's been for many years. Now, pretty boy Floyd Mayweather fought out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. He had a fighting record of 37-0 with 24 knockouts. Ring Magazine rated him pound for pound fighter of the year. He stood 5 foot 8 inches and he weighed 156 pounds. That's for Oscar De La Hoya. He fought out of East Los Angeles, California. He had a fighting record of 38 wins, 4 losses with 30 knockouts. He had the WBC Light Middleweight Championship belt. He stood 5 foot 10.5 inches and he weighed 156 pounds. Now, I would like to get into that fight with you, but I want to get into their careers as well as their profiles. And I would like to do it right here with you on the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. What a fight, what a night. Now, Floyd Mayweather Jr. defeated Giovanni Hernandez on October 3rd, 1998. And that was for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship. It was for the lineal title. He would defeat Jose Luis Castillo April 20th, 2002. And that was for the WBC Lightweight Championship. And it was in front of a crowd of 6,000 people. Mayweather was paid $2.4 million for that fight. He defeated Arturo Gatti June 25th, 2005. That was for the WBC Super Lightweight Championship. Now, I was at this fight with Mayweather and Gatti. And I got to tell you, Gatti, R.I.P. to him, was black and blue from the 5th round on. And Mayweather found a key. See, Gotti was always vulnerable for a straight right hand. And that's what he hit him with. He hit him with body punches and a straight right hand. Straight right hand and go back to the body. And it got to a point where it didn't even make sense to continue seeing that fight, because it's almost as though you're watching a street fight and the man is down. He's basically got hit with a punch. He's down. He's defenseless. And the man stands on top of him and just pounding him away in the face. And you're hearing loud smacking sounds. And the man can't defend himself. And I've been watching boxing my entire life. And these are one of the few fights where it didn't even make sense for me to continue watching the fight, because Gotti was completely defenseless. Mayweather couldn't hurt him because he doesn't punch. He didn't have the punching power. But he would hit him all night. Gotti wouldn't go anywhere. And you just saw a beating, basically. And eventually, Buddy McGirt would stop the fight. But that put Mayweather on the map. This fight took place in Atlantic City. And although Mayweather had already had titles, but he didn't really get the big fight yet. And he was under Bob Arum Promotions, and he still had to kind of work his way up to the top. But it was some night of boxing, and I remember that fight like yesterday. He defeated Zab Super Judah April 8th, 2006 for the IBF Welterweight Championship bout. It was for a sellout crowd of 12,675 ticket owners, and I got to tell you, that fight was something else. I was at that fight. And the thing with Zab Judah, Mayweather knew him very well. Zab Judah has always been a front runner. And Mayweather couldn't handle Zab Judah for the first 6 rounds. And he knew that coming in, so he had a strategy where he would just basically defend himself and outbox him and move around a little bit until Zab Judah would run out of gas, not only physically, but mentally as well. And it was some night, because it got dirty. Cops had to go into the ring, and Zab Judah and Roger Mayweather were both suspended. But it showed me a lot about Floyd Mayweather. He was hit low, and he was hit in the back of the head, and that's what started the melee. But Mayweather could think through problems. He could figure out issues as problems were happening with him. So I saw that in that fight. He would defeat Carlos Baldomir, November 14th, 2006. This was for the WBC Welterweight Championship, for the lineal title. Because Carlos Baltimore had defeated Super Zab Judah, Madison Square Garden. I was at that fight. And the Mayweather and Judah fight was already scheduled, somewhat. And normally, a loss like that would break up a card, would break up a future fight. But Mayweather would face Baltimore to get Zab Judah back in the rankings. It's a weird situation. But he got him back in the rankings, so they were able to have their fight. April 8th, 2006. Very interesting. Mayweather would defeat Oscar De La Hoya, and that's the fight we're looking at now. That took place May 5th, 2007. It's for the WBC Light Middleweight Championship. I'm going to get into that a little bit. Let me just continue. Other parts of his career. He defeated Miguel Cotto, May 5th, 2012. That was for the WBA, the Super Title, Light Middleweight Championship. He fought Canelo Alvarez, September 14th, 2013, for the Light Middleweight Championship belt. That was the Ring Light Middleweight Championship belt. He defeated Sugar Shane Mosley, May 1st, 2010. And that was for the WBC Super Welterweight Championship. Very, very interesting. This fight, actually, it was September 12th, 2015. It was that fight with Shane Mosley. He defeated Manny Pacquiao, May 2nd, 2015. And that was for the WBO Welterweight Championship. He defeated Victor Ortiz, September 17th, 2011, for the WBC Welterweight Championship strap. And he would win some minor titles, such as the IBO Welterweight Championship strap. The WBA Welterweight Championship strap was vacated belt, last held by RIP, the Hall of Famer, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. The Ring Light Welterweight Championship strap. He defeated Carlos Baltimore, November 4th, 2006. Ring Welterweight Championship. He regained it, May 4th, 2013. The Ring Light Middleweight Championship. defeated Giovanni Hernandez. October 3rd, 1998. And that would be for the lineal super featherweight championship strap. So Mayweather has fought a lot of fighters, champions, and he's earned a lot of belts. So he earned his way to where he was. So getting back to this fight with Oscar De La Hoya. Now Oscar De La Hoya was considered the golden boy, straight out of the Olympics. And he fought guys like Rafael Wallace, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, Julio Cesar Chavez on two separate occasions, Fernando Vargas. Oscar De La Hoya was born February 4th, 1973, in East Los Angeles, California. He stood 5 foot 10 and a half inches, and he had a 73-inch reach. He was a Mexican-American amateur star. He won a gold medal in Seoul, Korea. And he had a professional record, total bouts of 45 fights, 39 wins, 30 knockouts, 6 losses. And as an amateur, 223 wins, 5 losses, 228 total bouts. He would also be given the 2008 U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame stature. He would be the gold medal 1989 National Golden Gloves, gold medalist 1990 U.S. National Golden Gloves, a gold medalist 1990 Goodwill Games, win the gold medal 1991 U.S. National Championships, the gold medalist 1991 U.S. Olympic Fest, and the gold medal in 1992 Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea. Now, I remember watching the fight against Rafael Wallace, May 6, 1995, for the IBF Lightweight Championship strap. He would face Giovanni Parrish, July 29th, 1994, before the WBO Lightweight Championship strap. He would face Julio Cesar Chavez for the WBC Lightweight Championship strap. It's actually the Light Welterweight Championship strap. WBC Welterweight Championship strap from Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. April 12th, 1997. It was for the lineal championship belt. Now that Pernell Whitaker fight, very controversial. I had Pernell Whitaker defeating Oscar De La Hoya. But based on the record book, we have to go with what the record says. So Oscar De La Hoya would win that title from Pernell Whitaker. WBA Super title. He would defeat Fernando Vargas for the light middleweight championship belt. September 14th, 2002. WBC light middleweight championship strap. Javier Castillo. June 23rd, 2001 for the lineal light middleweight championship strap. The WBC light middleweight championship strap from Ricardo Mayorga. May 6, 2006. And the WBO middleweight championship strap against Felix Sturm. June 5th, 2004. Once again, most observers, including myself, felt that Felix Sturm defeated Oscar De La Hoya. That was on the same card. Bernard Executioner Hopkins and Robert Allen, the third fight. So Oscar De La Hoya, in many observers' opinion, has gotten a lot of gifts. He was the Ring Fighter of the Year, 1995. WBAA Fighter of the Year, 1995. The Best Boxer, ESPY Award, 1999. The Ring Round of the Year against Ike Corte. 6th round. Both men went down, and the fight was stopped with Corte against the ropes and De La Hoya throwing 100 punches. Probably 5 landed, but they stopped the fight. Best Boxer, ESPY Award, 2006. Now, when he fought Arturo Gatti, June 25th, 2005, We'd have 365,000 pay-per-view buys. May 6, 1995. Rafael Wallace, 330,000 pay-per-view buys. Hernandez, September 9th, 1995. 220,000 pay-per-view buys. I'm just giving you a perspective. On the viewing of Oscar De La Hoya's fights. When he fought Pacquiao, 1,250,000 pay-per-view buys. That fight took place December 6, 2008. We fought Mayweather, May 7, 2007. It was 2,400,000 pay-per-view buys. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, some of the titles that Mayweather would win, and these titles were presented to him after the fight, somewhere in the locker room or at a special event. But he would get the lineal lightweight championship, as we know, lineal light welterweight championship, as we know, the lineal light middleweight championship. But he would also get the WBC All-African Super Lightweight Championship, WBC Diamond Light Middleweight Championship, WBC 24 Karat Gold Light Middleweight Championship. He would have the WBC Supremacy Light Middleweight Championship, WBC Emerald Welterweight Championship, WBA Man of the Trump Gold Welterweight Championship, and a WBO Super Championship belt. Now, these belts will be added to Mayweather's collection. But Floyd Mayweather was the best of his era. He was the conqueror of the shoulder roll. He knew how to think under pressure. He understood how to bait you in. He knew foot movement. He understood how to calculate the ring distance. He knew how to get you to commit to something that you were not prepared to commit to, only to feel as though you had an advantage over him. He knew how to turn on a dime. He knew how to get you to apologize to him in the middle of a ring. You see, Floyd Mayweather was a well-schooled fighter. He was the best of the Mayweathers. The Mayweathers are benefiting from Floyd Mayweather Jr., and that's a very good thing. So salute to Floyd Mayweather. An outstanding fighter. Now, most historians are a little rough on him because he says he's the best fighter of all times. And that's something he should say because he's talking about himself. Realistically, he is absolutely not. He's never been 15 rounds before. You have to be able to do that in order to prove that you can do it. And it has nothing to do with him personally. It's just that he hasn't done certain things that would allow him to prove that he's the best. He wasn't involved in same-day weighings. He didn't have 8-ounce, 6-ounce gloves that he had to deal with. Wasn't in there with fighters that was in there because they wanted to destroy you. He didn't fight 6-7 times a year, 10 times a year. He wasn't in that situation. He wasn't in an environment where the law wasn't on his side. The rules were not on his side. He couldn't dictate what size gloves. He couldn't dictate where the fight was going to be held. And this changes the mindset of a fighter. So you can't call him the greatest because he hadn't been put in a position where he had to prove that. But in modern era, absolutely. Best fighter of his generation. Oscar De La Hoya. somewhat of a hype job. He was a very good fighter. Can't take that away from him. One of the best Mexican fighters, but he doesn't consider himself actually Mexican. Consider himself American. So he doesn't hold that distinction. But one of the best fighters of all times. No question about it. He's in the Hall of Fame at this point. Mayweather will be at some point in time. But De La Hoya crumbled under a lot of big fights. Couldn't handle Pacquiao. Couldn't handle Mayweather. He couldn't handle Trinidad, although he had that fight won. But he mentally gassed out the last 4 rounds. And if you're going to put De La Hoya back in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s, there's no gassing out mentally. So he would have been probably a 6-round fighter himself. 8-round fighter, at best, with the Rocky Castellanis and others. But he did very well for himself in his time. So salute to these fighters. Very good fight. And both men held prestigious titles during their reign as champions. So you got to give them credit. But De La Hoya did not defeat Pernell Whitaker, in my opinion. He couldn't get past Sugar Shane Mosley, although I did give him the second Mosley fight. But it is what it is. So this is Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Thanks for hanging in there with me. All great fights and all great fighters, and never be forgotten on my channel. Looking at 2 very good fighters at their time. And they carried the mental well. And I can say that I was here to see both of their careers from beginning to the end. Although Mayweather, you never know if he'll come out of retirement. But up until this point, he's done well for himself. He's earned the most money, I should say, than any other fighter in boxing history. He's earned more money in sports history. And that makes me proud as a boxing fan and a historian, because I've seen fighters be taken advantage of. And as far as African American fighters, this would never have happened many years ago. So salute to him for that. And salute to the game of boxing. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya. Peace.